Alright guys, 2K Sports have just released the long-awaited trailer for WWE 2K16, so let's not wait any longer, let's jump straight in and break it down. The trailer kicks off with the WWE 2K16 logo breaking through the glass in homage to this year's cover star Stone Cold Steve Austin, before we switch to the beast incarnate that is Brock Lesnar as he makes his entrance alongside Paul Heyman, and that gives us a nice little look at the WrestleMania 31 stage, which is actually outside as you can see from the sky in the background. We'll then zoom in to get a closer look at Lesnar, who again doesn't have any of his sponsors' logos, but that's purely down to licensing and we can always add them in ourselves, so it's not really a big problem anymore. Following Lesnar, we switch focus to the man, the WWE Champion Seth Rollins, as we get some nice close-up shots of his championship entrance. Then we're given some quick glimpses of both Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt, with Ambrose looking a lot better to me this year with the updated hairstyle sporting an actual lunatic fringe. Next up, put your hands together and clap because we see the New Day in action as they make their way to ringside, with Big E and Kofi sporting the tag team titles, so I guess they'll be the default champions in the game. It'll also be interesting to see if the Freebird rule's added so that we can defend the belts with any member of the team, as that would be a really cool little addition if we're able to allow teams that we create to use that ruling and then have any member of the team defend the titles. As for the attire, it is the default blue one, but like I've mentioned before, it's something that should be easy to update using Create a Superstar, as we can easily change the colours, and you'll also kind of notice the towel that Big E is holding, because again, that's another good example of the cloth simulation system that's been added to the game this year. Also shown is Cesaro sporting his Beats headphones, jacket and towel, and one of the coolest things about this was when I played the game and you attacked him during his entrance, you seen the towel fall off but he kept the rest of it on until the match actually started, so it's a small thing but I thought it was really cool to see. Next comes the first of the divas in the trailer, with Natalya, who sports her WrestleMania 31 attire, as do a lot of the roster, before we see some brief clips of Finn Balor's Demon entrance with the NXT Championship, and that is actually a separate title entrance that Balor motion capped himself. Next up, we see the Viper Randy Orton in his familiar pose atop of the turnbuckle, alongside Sheamus with his new look, as they're probably about to do battle for the billionth time this year, although we don't have to witness that until later in the trailer, because we switch focus to two men who did battle at WrestleMania 31, with the current Triple H and the Icon Sting in his WrestleMania attire with a red jacket and trademark baseball bat. Then comes Rusev, also in his WrestleMania attire with the jacket and the Russian flag, which is cool to see, with the face on Rusev looking really good as he eyes up his arch nemesis in Dolph Ziggler, who also sports his entrance jacket with his old green, white and black Tron shown on the LCD board, so that confirms that we won't see the new red, white and black version that he recently switched to. Next up comes the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, as we see the current version of The Rock bouncing around on the stage as he makes his entrance, with the current Undertaker also shown. However, oddly, if you zoom in here, you can actually see the 2K logo is the wrong way around, so maybe they've mirrored this footage for some reason. John Cena's up next, and we get confirmation that he'll have his towel as a prop, which is something that I actually called back when we seen the screenshot, and we've seen it hanging from his shorts, so that's cool to see as he holds that up to the camera. Unfortunately though, as happens every single year, the attire's outdated because Cena always seems to have a habit of updating to a new shirt in Tron right before the game is released, so it's pretty much an impossible task for 2K to keep up. Speaking of attires, the next we see is Stardust in another WrestleMania attire, along with the Lucha Dragons, before we see the Yes movement in full swing as Daniel Bryan gets everyone involved in a Yes chant in the middle of the ring. Then comes the big guy Ryback in his green attire with the Intercontinental Championship, R-Truth and the reunited primetime players performing millions of dollars. Once all those shots of the superstars out of the way, we get to see the first footage of the new Breakout feature, as we see Finn Balor making his entrance, with Kevin Owens rolling out the ring, running up the ramp and then interrupting him with a floor over DDT. So this is the coolest new feature I've experienced, because when you do choose the Breakout option, you can do absolutely anything you like while the other player makes their way to the ring, so you can either run up the ramp like we see here, or just hang back and wait for the opportune moment to strike, just as Owens strikes here as he takes out Balor with a pop-up powerbomb, which is one of my favourite new moves in the game. Next we get some spectacular shots of Neville performing the Red Arrow on Barris, before we see Roman Reigns setting up for a Superman punch, which shows off the Timekeeper and Lillian Garcia at ringside. Eva Marie, who has one of the best looking models that I've seen so far, that's one that I've been really impressed with. And then there's Rollins and Ambrose doing battle, Big Show, and of course The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar fighting it out, just as they'll do next month at Hell in a Cell. We'll have some classic superstars up next, as we'll have the Ultimate Warrior, Cactus Jack, Bret the Hitman Hart, Bam Bam Bigelow, DDP, and the confirmation of the classic D-Generation X, with Triple H and Shawn Michaels performing their tag team entrance. Midway through the trailer, we switch focus to the 2K showcase as we finally get to see Stone Cold in action as he makes his way to ringside in the current Raw arena, which confirms this new custom Minitron with the old WWE scratch logo for the Attitude Era superstars. We then see this cutscene from Showcase mode that shows the Attitude Era version of The Rock alongside special guest referee Shane McMahon. So this is taken from Backlash 1999, where we see The Rock taking the camera and making fun of Stone Cold before he climbs on top of the announce table, and then we see Austin take advantage of The Rock pandering to the crowd as he hits him with a stunner, which doesn't actually break the table as it didn't actually break it at the event. Austin then switches opponent to the Attitude Era version of The Undertaker, where we see Austin throwing Takeout against the guardrail and then hitting him with a fuel canister in scenes that appear to be from their Buried Alive match at Rock Bottom in Your House 1998. So this could mean that we'll see the Buried Alive match in the game as a new match type this year, although I wouldn't get your hopes up too much just yet, because if you remember last year we had a casket match in Showcase mode, but that ended up just being a regular match with a cutscene. The next footage shows Austin against another of his great adversaries in Vince McMahon as they do battle inside a steel cage at the St. Valentine's Day Massacre 99 pay-per-view, which was also the match that seen the debut of the Big Show, Paul White, who accidentally cost Vince the match when he threw Austin into the cage and the side then came open, which allowed Austin to escape. The final opponent we see Austin taking on is none other than Mick Foley as Dude Love, which I would assume is another match in Showcase mode, but this footage is taken from an exhibition match as you can see the three-man announce team at ringside alongside Lillian Garcia, but what it does show is another of the new barricade moves that have been added to the game this year instead of the standard punches from the past games. Finally, we see Austin stunning the current champion Seth Rollins and celebrating with the belt in what Austin said in the previous trailer is a whole new Stone Cold era. So that is the main part of the trailer, but we also got to see a really cool preview of both versions of the Terminator with a kind of electrical storm striking the WWE stage logo, and that leads to the iconic introduction of the original Terminator, thankfully wearing a pair of pants, before we then see the Terminator from Judgment Day with the leather jacket and the motorcycle. So maybe this is just for the trailer, but I think it'd be really cool if the entrances for both these characters had the same effect. Anyway guys, that is all for this video, but let me know your thoughts in the comments and anything that you've noticed that I might have missed, as there's quite a lot in there. It's around 3 minutes long, so it's one of the longest trailers I can remember. So let me know if you think it's been worth the wait and if it's got you hyped for the game, because it certainly has me. I can't wait. So until next time guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you later.